Hey guys, so today we are going to be taking apart and cleaning this standard set of motorcycle carburetors. They are off of a 1995 Ninja 600, that bike out there, which I strongly suspect is going to need a new head gasket, some electrical sorted out, and some other little things before it's ready to get back on the road. But I did manage to get it to run a little bit on starter fluid, so I know it's got at least some compression and it's got some fire. So hopefully this carb cleaning will go a long way to getting that bike back on the road. Now you might be saying to yourself, but Max, I don't have a Ninja 600, I have a Virago, or I have a GSXR, or I have a Harley, or I have any number of other bikes, you know. Don't worry, most carburetors are pretty much exactly the same, in my opinion. They just take a couple of simple tools, a little bit of patience, some technical information that you can find in any repair manual for your bike, and a good instructional video like this one. You can see here the fluid that's leaking out of my carburetors already, and you know this is a pretty bad sign. It's not only does it have no gasoline smell at all, and it might actually be mostly water, but it's like this deep amber color, which looks to me like rust. And so that tells me that these carbs are going to be pretty gunked up in there, and they're going to need a lot of work. This is the first time I've ever opened this set. It's new to me, and so we'll see what comes out of it. First, to orient you about these particular carbs, this here is the fuel intake here. We've got some overflow tubes here. Some other overflows go here, here, and here. Let's see. This leads to the engine, and this intake here leads from the airbox. These are the slides that go up and down here. You can see that they're pretty clear. They have pretty good action. This is what you want. You want to hear that sort of suction sound, just like that. So that tells me that at least the slides aren't hung up, and the diaphragms probably are still pretty good. On the underside here is where we're going to be doing most of the work. These are the float bowls. The fuel flows from the fuel intake down here and into each individual bowl. There's fuel that's sort of stored in here, and it's sent up into right here where it mixes, it ionizes and mixes, and then flows out into the engine. And so there's a variety of different sized jets in here which allow fuel to flow up at different rates, and they all need to be cleaned out. On the other side you can see this linkage here, which still has pretty good snap, it's not gunked up too bad. I'm still going to clean it, but it seems to be in pretty good shape. So hopefully this one is not going to take too much work, but I still think it's going to be a challenge. Alright, now what I like to do is I start with the middle two first, and I only do one at a time. But I start with the middle two for reasons which I'm going to explain later. Start at the top, and I'm going to unscrew these screws to remove the diaphragm so it doesn't get damaged by the carb spray. Alright, I have removed all 4 screws, and let's see what pops up. There's generally a long spring in here. We'll take that out. And here's your diaphragm. It is made of pretty fragile rubber material. So what you want to do is just sort of gently work it off, make sure it's not hung up, because you definitely don't want to tear this. What I like to do, I don't really like to pull on the diaphragm. What I'll do is I'll put my hand in here, down here, and just sort of gently help it down. And there you go. And there's a little bracket, a little holder thingy that fell out. That's going to go right in here. That holds the spring. So I'm just going to set that aside. I like to put it in a little coffee can so that no carb spray will damage it, because carb spray, when it touches this, it just totally eats away at this material. So now I basically just inspect everything in here, make sure there's nothing that's all gunked up. It looks to be pretty good. Most of the work on a carburetor is at the bottom end of it, and so this looks all pretty good, and so I'm gonna give it a passing grade for now and go to the bottom. This particular model has a sort of an idle control knob right here, which is in the way of the float bowl, and so I'm going to take out the two screws which hold in the bracket so I can move it out of the way. Those screws were a little bit gunked in there, and so what I had to do was first off change screwdrivers to one that's a little bit fatter, and then as I held it, let me see if I can show you guys. As I held it, I just sort of tapped it with my rubber mallet to break the seal, and that did the trick. So now we've got this knob out of the way. I like to keep the screws in the brackets where they came from so I don't get them mixed up. These ones are just sort of loose hanging here, and so I just got to keep an eye on them and make sure they don't go flying away. Now what I'm going to do is unscrew these three screws which are left, because I already unscrewed these two. I'm going to unscrew these three which are left and take off the bowl. Alright, so the screws are out. I have them all right here. What I'm going to do now is very gently try and take off this bowl, because there is a gasket which is right in here, which is either going to hang up on the bowl or on the body of the carbs, and what you don't want to do is for it to hang up half and half and then you rip it in half. Generally when you do this you shouldn't need to replace your gaskets, but if you rip them or if they're so corroded, then you might have to buy a carb rebuild kit. But this bike is only a 95, and so the gaskets should still be good. Oh, it came out pretty easily. Let's see what we got here. So here's this gasket, which goes around here. It's a little bit smushed down, but I'd say it's still good. What I'm probably going to do is just wipe it down with a rag and either some kerosene or some gasoline or something like that to clean it up. Clean it up a little bit. Make sure it has a nice good seal. What I do now is I turn the bowl upside down and I put all the parts in it that I take out that don't need cleaning. Back when I was first starting this, I used to fill the bowls up with carb cleaner and then just soak the parts actually in it. But I don't do that anymore because I found that it actually will corrode the seal here. And so what I've got is this little jar, and I'll fill that up with carb cleaner and to maybe about this level here, just a little bit, and then I'll soak the jets in there. So now I can look into the bowl of the carbs, and surprisingly it all looks pretty good on the outset. I've seen carbs which look even cleaner than this one and have really nasty jets, so I'm still going to take the jets out and clean them up, but I expected this to be a lot more gunked up with old gas, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is take out the pin that holds the floats. Just going to slide that out and stick it in my bowl, and then take off the floats, and with it will come this little needle here. I'm going to put the bowl, or the floats in the float bowl. What I like to do is just sort of look at this needle. Be sure you don't lose this little clip up here, but what I like to do is I'll take my screwdriver and make sure that the spring is still springy. So you push down this little nipple here and make sure it springs all the way back up. This thing's really important so you don't flood your float bowls. So I make sure it's still springy, not corroded. This one looks pretty good, so it's going to go in the bowl.